Hey, hello everyone. In this video, I will be showing you how to create a REST API by using Node JS and MongoDB along with Postman. So I'll be showing you how to do post, put, fetch and delete operations or the CRUD operations. So let's get started. First thing, let me just go and create a folder over here. So new folder, let me name it as NMP, okay? Something Node, Mongo and Postman. So that's it, that's the folder name, and I will just go to Visual Studio Code and just open that folder. So it's file, open folder, C project NMP and select folder. So this is our folder opened over here. So just click it and let's just name main.js. Okay, so this is going to be our only JS file that we are going to use, and now we are good to go. We need to install two packages. Okay, one is Express and another one is Mongoose. Okay, so for that, what we need to do is we need to just right click it and just click this open in integrated terminal, so which automatically gives the terminal to this path itself, okay, this folder itself. So as I told you earlier, we need Express and Mongoose. So just do npm I Express space mongoose, okay, and hit enter. Just wait till it gets downloaded. So once our packages has been installed, we are now good to code. Okay, so let's get started. So first is we need to import Express and Mongoose, just a default code over here. So it's going to be const express equal to require express, okay, within double quotes, and next is const app equal to express. Okay. That's it, we are done with express. Now we need to include mongoose, so it's going to be const mongoose equal to require mongoose within double quotes, and here we also need to include app dot use express dot json. Okay, as we will be passing JSON data in the form of JSON, we need to include this particular line over here. And next is the important line. We will be making our connection with our MongoDB. Okay, so in the next line, it's going to be mongoose dot. So this mongoose corresponds to this variable name. Okay, mongoose dot connect, and here we'll be specifying the URL. Okay, URL are the path in which your database is present. So since we are using local host, okay, local MongoDB, we will be putting MongoDB colon / local host colon, then it's going to be the port number, which is 27017 / and here you can specify the database name. So it can be existing database or you can just create your own new database. So I will put my new DB as my database name. Out of this double quotes, just put a comma and a curly bracket. Okay, and here you will be putting use in ascap new uscap URL parser as true. Okay, so in case if you get any warnings, to avoid that, you can just put this. And next one is use unified topology, same true for it as well. So it's parser left R, so it's R. And after doing this, just come to this curly bracket end and just put a comma over there. Let's just display a message if we are connected and if we aren't connected as well. So let's just catch that error. So error and just an arrow function over here. So if there isn't error, any error, that is the error is null, which means that we have been successfully connected to our database. So in case that we can just console log connected to DB. Okay, this will be the message when we aren't having any error. And let's suppose say that we are having any error, that means the else block will be executed. So let's just copy this and paste it, and let's put error. That's it. So this is the connection over here connecting our database. Smooth this. So next is let's just start our server. Okay, then we can just do the rest of stuff. Okay, so it's going to be app dot listen the port, I will keep the port as 3000, and just an arrow function over here, and I will just console log on port 3000. Just save it. Okay, I think we are good to go. Just have a comment over here, db connection. Okay, save it now, and let's just go to the terminal, and it's going to be node your file name.js. My file name is main. We'll just hit enter over here. So now we are getting on port 3000, and we are also getting connected to db, which means that there isn't any error. So our error is null. So this is getting displayed. So that's really well and good. Let's just stop this. Control C, and now let's just create the schema. Okay, schema for our MongoDB database. So I will just type in the entire thing in the same file. Okay, it's just going to be like 20 lines of code. I don't want to have like multiple number of files and like make it really confusing. I will just keep it as simple as possible. So here we're just going to create the schema. Okay, and it's going to be const sch be my schema name. Okay, and I will be having just two values. Okay, let's say I will have a name. This is going to be of data type string, and I will also have the email. Okay, just as demo purpose, I will just have an email that is also going to be of type string as well. So in case like if you also want an ID going to be of type number, just hit number over here. Okay, so once you have done with our schema, you need to just attach your schema with the mongoose model. So it's going to be const mongoose model, okay, equal to mongoose, that is this variable name over here, this name that you have specified, that's this variable name, mongoose dot, to put model, and here you need to pass the collection name. Collection name is like the table name that you are going to have in your MongoDB database. So collection is nothing but a table. Like in SQL we call it as table, and in MongoDB we call it as connection. So be really careful over there. I will name my table or collection name as new call something, and next you will just put a comma, and here you will pass this schema name. So it's going to be sch over here. So that's it. We are done with our schema, and we are also done with our model over here. So next thing is we need to just create a post request. Okay, code for the post request. So it's going to be, I'll just put post route. You can say it as post route or post route, and here we are not going to use any router. We're just going to make use with the help of app.post itself. So app dot means this app. Okay, this name that you have specified over here. So it's going to be app.post. Okay, there are actually many requests: post, delete, get, but here we're just going to like push data or input data. So here we're just going to use post, and here we'll pass the URL. Okay, so it's going to be for me just post. So this will be like local host and colon port number slash post. So that's going to be the entire URL for this, and it's just put a comma outside the double quotes. It's going to be async, and we'll just have a bracket, and inside that we will have the request and response, and just put an arrow function over here inside this. So everything should be like inside this, enclosed within this app.post itself. So after this, what we'll do is we'll just have a console. Okay, console.log, and we'll just pass a message inside post function. Okay, just as a notification whether this particular app.post is getting called or not. So just to verify that. And next thing what we will do is we'll just have a variable. Okay, data. So this const data is used to extract the data that we are passing to this URL. Okay, so we are going to post data, so we need to have some input. So that input we are going to feed it with the help of Postman. Okay, so with this help of this URL, we will be entering this localhost / post URL over here, and we will also enter this key value pair. So this is where we are going to get the input. So our input will be sent to this like URL, and the data that is posted over here will be collected in this variable data. Okay, so how we are going to do that is we are just going to have a new, and we are going to use this mon model. Okay, this thing that's just a model, mongoose model. And what we will do is open circular bracket and a curly bracket over here, and it's going to be name dot, so name corresponds to this variable name over here. Okay, so it's going to be name req dot body dot name. Okay, so req refers to this one. Okay, we just highlight this. Okay, and just put a comma, and it's going to be email req dot body dot email. Okay, email corresponds to this thing, another variable. Okay, and next thing we also have id, so it's going to be id. Just copy paste this stuff over here, copy and paste it, just have it as an id. Okay, all this data will come from this postman. We will be just pushing all this data from here and we'll get to this url, and by using this method we will just segregate and store it as name, email and id. So this things request.body corresponds to json body that we are sending it from our postman. So once all these values are getting stored in our data, we need to just store this data in our mongodb collection. So for that, what we will do is just come over here, const val. Okay, that's something, a shortcut for value, equal to await data. Data corresponds to this data. Okay, it consists of our name, email and id. Data dot save. So this line of code basically saves the data, that is our name, email and id, that is passed from our postman, and it just saves it in our collection. Okay, and next thing is response. We will just send this data. Okay, response dot json, you will just send val. So val will also contain the same data that is present in our data variable, and response data means this will send back to our postman. It's just considered as a message. Okay, we are sending data from our postman to this url and just getting stored in our mongodb database. After all it's done, the same data will be sent back to our postman again as a response. So that's what this response.json value means. Okay, over here I think we are good to go. Okay, so this is post, we have done with our data, everything. We have done our schema model. So let me just now save it and we just run it again. Okay, node, and I hope it works. So we are on port 3000 and we are also connected to database, and I will just now go to database and check whether we are having a database named it's my new db. Okay, so if I just go to over here and if I just refresh it, so as you can see here we are getting a my new db over here, and just click here, I am having a collection. So this is the collection name that I told you earlier, that's similar to a table in mongodb. So it's named as new calls, and how we are getting the name is that it's from here, new call. I specified it as new call. It will automatically add a yes to it at the end. Okay, so that's by default. So now our database and our collection has been like created over here. So next, the final thing, we need to post data. Okay, so we will be using postman. Okay, like I guess you know this tool. So what you do is you just close it. Okay, so just go to this plus icon over here, open it, and here you need to enter the url. So it's going to be http colon, I am already having like auto complete over here. So this is like the url that we are having over here. So it's http. Okay, if you do http, yes, I think you will be getting an error. Do http colon, you'll be really careful over here, and this 3000 is corresponding to this 3000. Okay, if you have given some other value here, make sure that you change over here as well. So it's going to be /post, and this /post is this url. Okay, so corresponding, you'll make use of this post function. Okay, so here we need to pass 3 values. Okay, so it's going to be a post request. So we'll just go here and put post and just go to body. We'll be not having any space to input, so you need to go to raw, and instead of text you need to change it as json, because we are going to input in the form of json. Okay, so I know you know the json structure. It's going to be like a key value pairs. So I think our first name is name, email and id. So it's going to be name colon and abc. I will just have the name as abc. And another important thing is that your name, email, like the key should also be within double quotes. Okay, name, email, I will just put abc at abc.com, comma, and our id colon, let's say 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, since our id is of number type, there isn't any requirement of double quotes, but abc, these are of type string, cause we have specified over it as string over here. So that's good, I guess. So let me just now send. Okay, so we are having 3 values. So if we just put send, so we are getting this back. Okay, so that's the thing I told you earlier. We are sending it and we are getting this as a response back. So the reason why we are getting the same value, but we are also having a ID as well as a version. This is called as version, I guess, as 0 because of this single line. Okay, yeah, I will explain to you later. Okay, first let's check whether we have got our value. Okay, so now I will just go to our MongoDB, and this is our collection new calls. If I just now hit refresh, I'll be getting these values ABC, ABC at abc.com and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's absolutely fine. We have just posted data in our MongoDB, and coming back to the response, okay, and we will be having like two additional additional key. Okay, we are having ID and we just passed these three over here. This ID is like a primary key. What do you call in SQL? It's called a primary key, which is like uniquely used to identify a particular row. Okay, so this ID is automatically generated by MongoDB, and this version v is like obviously also auto generated. You can also like have some code to avoid this as well. You can try that as well, and we are getting this as a response back to our Postman. Okay, and that is because of this line. Okay, this, as I told you, response.json that val is because this val will contain all these entire thing. Okay, and let's suppose say that we don't want to send that JSON, we can send something as well, like response.send and just put posted. Okay, save it, and you can also see that inside post function, that's because this function has been like called by this Postman. We are just calling, it's like function call itself. We are just making use of this function, so that's why I'm getting this inside post function. Okay, so let me just now stop it, Control C, okay, to stop, and I'll just run it again. So this time I will just post some other data. I will put only AB over here, and one, just send it. So this time I'm getting posted. Okay, and the reason is obviously I think you know, because I'm just change this like from rest.json to I'm sending it now rest.send posted. And if I just now go to my MongoDB and if I just refresh it, I will be getting the new value over here. And now let's jump into our update. Okay, so first I will just go over here and I will put operation over here. So it's going to be like a very similar code. Okay, but the difference is that here we will be pushing all the data in the request body itself, but in the put or the update operation we will be getting that ID through the params. Okay, through this parameter. Okay, I will also show that to you. Okay, so first let's begin with the code. Okay, it's going to be app.put. Okay, and next is our URL over here. Okay, so it's going to be, I'll just put /update/ and next thing, as I told you earlier, we will be getting the ID in the form of a parameter from the URL itself. So it's going to be :ID. So we will be, with the help of this ID, we will be updating the particular data. Okay, and it's going to be comma async, and the regular thing it's going to be request comma response over here, and arrow function and a curly bracket. Okay, that's it. So next thing, we need to have access to this ID value. Okay, but here we use request.body to get the value, and here you will be using request.params. Okay, so let me just put, let my updating ID, I'll just call it as UPID over here, equal to request.params. We will be having this params which directly corresponds to this fetching value from this URL dot ID. So this ID corresponds to this one over here. That's why I've given a colon, which means that we can access it through this params keyword. So it's going to be like this. So I will just copy this and I will just go to my Postman, and if I just go to put, okay, and instead of /post we will be putting /update, and here we will pass some ID. Let's say it is going to be 1, and in the JSON we will be not passing our ID. Okay, because we are getting the ID from our URL itself, so we need to pass ID over here. So I will just remove this. We will be passing the name and email which is to be updated, and we will be passing the ID of that particular name and email in the parameter. Okay, really simple, I guess. So now we need to also have this name and email value, right? So for that, what we will do is just copy this, paste it, and instead of this up ID I will put update name, and instead of this params it's going to be body, and for ID it's going to be name. Okay, so just copy this, paste it over here. It's going to be up email, and here I will be putting email. Okay, and the really important thing over is that here I am using params and here I am using body. So this is quite similar to the post operation where I have used body as well. So I think the reason is obvious. This params corresponds to this URL and this corresponds to the request body. So that's why I am fetching the ID from the URL and I am getting the name and email from the body. So that's the reason why I am using params and body over here. So now let's just jump into the main update operation. Okay, So for updating anything, we will be having like two steps. Okay, the first one is going to be we need to find that particular ID. We need to first check whether that particular data that we are trying to update is like initially present. And the second operation is obvious, just update it. Okay, so these are the two things that everyone does. But we can do the two things with the help of a single function itself. The function name is find one and update. Okay, so for that, first what you need to have is you need to have the model name. Okay, so this is the model that I have created over here. It's mon model. Okay, so you need to have that model name. So just copy your model name and just come inside this function, paste it, dot, you need to have find one and update. So this is the function over here, just click it. So this will take like I guess 4 parameters or 4 arguments. Really, you need to be really careful over here. So the first argument is going to be the ID for which we want to update the data. So it's going to be just open curly bracket and just pass ID colon and up ID. Okay, so basically this ID corresponds to the value, this ID, okay, corresponds to this ID, and this up ID corresponds to the ID that we are passing as the parameter over here. Okay, I hope that made sense. And this is going to be the first parameter, and the next parameter is going to contain all the values that we want to change or update. So next thing is going to be again open curly bracket dollar set colon open curly bracket. Next thing is going to be name colon up name comma email colon up email. Okay, this name and email corresponds to the key present in this database, and this up name and up email, it's obvious, it's the data that we are passing from our Postman. Okay, this is going to be our second argument, and you have to be careful to just come out of it, put a comma over here, and you're going to put new colon true. Okay, I will explain to this why we are putting new colon at the end. Okay, so now just put a comma over here and open circular bracket. Here it's going to be error comma data. Okay, really simple. If any error is going to come, this error will catch that, and this is going to be our data. Okay, so after this, just arrow function and just open curly bracket. Okay, so if you can't view this, what I will do is I will just, okay, so this is going to be like a continuation from that. You can just also type it. So I think now it's perfectly visible over here. So now we are just going to have a simple if condition. Okay, and this function finds and updates. Okay, so it's basically performing two operations. So now let's have two conditions. Okay, our first condition is going to be, here I am having data of ID 1, 2 and 3. So what if I go to Postman and put 4, okay, update /4. So this 4 isn't going to be present in our database itself. So in that case, our data value will be null. Okay, so for that we will do if data equal to null. Okay, that is our ID isn't present. Okay, we will just put response dot send. We can just put nothing found. Okay, and our second condition is going to be obvious, if our ID is present and the data is also present. In that case, it will automatically update that particular value with the required name and email. So in that case, we will be putting a else operation, and we will put response dot send our data. So we will be viewing this data in the Postman. It will be coming over here. Okay, so that's the meaning for that. So now let's just run and test it out. Okay, I think we are pretty much done over here. Let's run and see it now. So I'm just saving it, and I'm just stopping it now and just restarting it again. So it's on port 3000. I will just go to my Postman, and first I will check what are the IDs that are present. So 4 is not present, like as I told you earlier. So now I will just put update 4 and let my name be something. Okay, I will just put let 1111 be my name and let it be my email. Okay, something. So I am putting 4. So we need to get response.send nothing found should be present coming inside the console over here. So I will just send it now. So as you can see here, I'm getting nothing found, which is absolutely right. And we are having this B. Okay, I will put A itself. So we are having this ID 1 and having name as A, email as a@a.com. So I will now just change this values. Okay, so for that, really simple, just go over here and put 1, and I will just pass this 1 itself for all. So I will just send it, and I'm getting this as a response over here. The reason is this line is being sent. It automatically updates it and sends the response, the data over here, and we are getting this over in our Postman. So now if I just go to my MongoDB, it will be the same, okay? But if I just refresh this, watch over here, just refresh it, I'll be having 111 over here. That's it. We have successfully performed our update operation. And another thing, as I wanted to mention, is that I told you I will explain you why we are putting this new true, right? So if I just put new as false, okay? I'm putting this new as false, okay? And I'm just saving it. I'll just stop it. So we got the updated data, right? We got the updated data in our Postman over here. So it was earlier A as the name and A at abc.com something, which are with the ID 1. But we are getting the updated value in the console of our Postman. So what if we wanted the existing data over here? So in place of 111, we wanted A and we wanted A at a.com, the existing value that was present before our updation operation. So in that case, we will be putting new as false over here. So now let me just restart it. Node put main. So same thing, it's running now. So now as you can see here, we are having this value, and I will just update the same thing. I will put 1 as the ID, and instead of all ones, I will put all twos over here, all twos over here as well. And now if I just send it, I will be getting the same data over here. So if I just send it now, so I'm getting the same data over here, but in my MongoDB database, if I just refresh it, it will be updated, but I'm still getting the old data. So I hope that made sense to you. If you put new equal to true over here, we will be getting the updated data as the response over here. And if you put new equal to false over here, we will be getting the data before updation, that is the old data or the previous data. Okay, I hope that that was clear to you. And now let me just put it to true. Okay, I'll just put it to true, and I will just stop this. And the final thing that we are left with, we didn't even use this error. Okay, it's really important you do error handling. So if I just put if error, and I will just have response.send, I will just put error, okay, and I will have a if block over else block over here, and just close it and put this entire if else block within that else block. Okay, so if you are getting error, we will be getting only this as a response, and this won't be even executed. So now I hope this works. I will just save it, and I will just run it again, and I will just go over here. So I'll just put the same thing. I'll put 3 over here, 3 over here. So I'm putting name and email. You can just give a proper name, and I'm just doing with the numbers okay there. So if I just write now, so I'm getting the updated one. And so how to get an error? Okay, so I need to get response.error over here. So let me try this way. Instead of 1, I will put A. Okay, so I will just send it now. So I'm getting an error. Okay, so this is being sent because we have given the ID as a number, I guess. Okay, so as ID is a number, so we can't pass a character or a string over there. So that's it, I guess. We have successfully covered put operation. So now let's go and do the get or fetch method. Okay, so let me just come down over here. I will just put a command as fetch or get, something like that. The next line, it's going to be app.get, and inside the bracket we need to specify the path. Okay, so it's going to be /fetch, and we are going to fetch with the help of a ID. Okay, so it's going to be colon ID. So this ID basically corresponds to this ID. Okay, not the default ID of Mongoose, but our own specified ID over here. So that's going to be the ID. That ID we are going to pass through the parameter and just come out of this path, comma, function. So it's going to be request and response over here. Just open curly bracket, and first thing we need to get this ID. Okay, so for that I'll just put fetch ID equal to request dot params dot ID. Okay, that's it. So if you are getting some data from through request body, we will put request dot body, and if you are getting that ID from a parameter, we will put request dot params dot ID. And next thing is to fetch a data from the Mongoose database, we will be using the find function. Okay, so in the next line you need to specify your Mongoose model name. So in my case, the Mongoose model name is mon model. Okay, so just come down over here and put mon model dot find. Okay, and just open circular bracket, and inside this you need to pass like two parameters. Okay, first one is the ID through which you want to find in your database. So just open another circular bracket, just pass ID over here. So this ID, as I told you earlier, corresponds to this ID. Okay, if you want to find with the help of name, you can give name there, email there. Okay, I am finding with the through ID itself. Okay, so I am putting ID over here and ID, and we need to pass the value that we are passing through our parameter. So it's going to be fetch ID over here, and this needs to be enclosed within curly bracket as well. Okay, just put a curly bracket over here and come out of this stuff. Okay, come out of all of this. Okay, this is going to be a second argument, comma function, open circular bracket again, and error, comma value. Okay, and open curly bracket again. So in case of any error, this catches it, and the value, this value corresponds to the values that are present in the database for this corresponding ID that we are passing over here. So what we are going to do with this data is, let's just send it. Okay, let's just do response dot send val. That's it. Okay, this response or send val means that this value, okay, the values present in the database will be getting displayed in our console of our Postman. Basically, it will be appearing here. So now let's just run and test it out. Okay, save it and just run it now. So it's on port 3000. I will go to Postman. So it's /fetch/ and what are the IDs we are having? I'm having 3. Okay, I will put ID 3. Okay, it's going to be /3. So this is what that path means. /fetch/3 means that /fetch/3. So this 3 will be getting passed as fetch ID over here. And another important thing is that you need to change this to get. Okay, it won't work if you keep as post or some other thing. So we don't need any data to be passed. Okay, none. That's perfect, I guess. And if I just now send this, I'll be getting all these values. So as you can see, I'm getting name as D, email d@d.com something, and the same data is also present in the database. Okay, and just have a look at it. And let's suppose say that if you pass something, okay, some other ID that isn't present in our database. Let's say I will put some 1000 is not present in my database itself. So if I just now send it, I'll be getting an empty array. Okay, I'll be getting an empty array. So in order to make our code more understandable and generic, we will have some conditions. Okay, to check these as well, to check whether our particular ID is present in our database or not. So for that, it's really simple. So first thing, let me just remove this. If val dot length, okay, equal to 0. Okay, which means that our val is this empty array. Okay, we will be getting this empty array when we pass a ID which it is in present in our database. As in case we pass 1000, right, we are getting an empty array. So we are checking that, and if this val dot length is equal to 0, what we will do is we will put response dot send, okay, data does not exist. Okay, or you can do wrong ID, something like that. Else means our data is present. Okay, you will just put a else it, response dot send val, the value. Okay, and we are also having this error. Okay, this error is unused. Really important to use this as well. So for that, just come top of this if error. If there is any error, that becomes, this if condition becomes true and this get executed. So just come over here. You can just have a response dot send and just pass something error, something like that, random thing, or you can just pass that error over here as well. That's your choice. And after having this error, you need to put a else condition. Okay, else condition, and you need to enclose all these previously written code within this. Okay, just okay, like this. So this ending curly bracket will be corresponding to this else block. Okay, so it's pretty obvious. If you have any error, means this code isn't going to work. So we need to just have it in else part. Okay, and I think this makes sense to you. So let me just now save it and stop the existing one and rerun it again. So it's working well. So now if I just try the same thing, 1000, it isn't present in my MongoDB database. If I just send it now, I'll be getting data does not exist, and I will go over here. 11 is present in my database, so I will just put over here 11 and send it. I'll be getting the value. Okay, And in case of error, okay, for error, I think if we will get error if we pass some alphabet or value. So I will put AA something like that, and if I send it, I'll be getting error over here as well. So this is working perfectly. Now let's jump into our delete operation. So first let me stop the server, okay, and I will just come down, just put fetch, and here delete will come, okay. Just put delete, and I am going to delete with the help of ID, okay. So I will just come to my MongoDB database. So it is this ID that I am creating and passing. It is not the ID that is auto generated by MongoDB, okay. I am going to delete with the help of this ID, okay. So I will just come over here, come to the next line. It is going to be app dot, you'll be having the delete function over here. Just click it, delete, open circular bracket, and the first parameter is going to be the path, okay. So I'll just open single quotes. For me the path is going to be slash del, okay, del and colon ID, okay. So this is how it is going to work. I am going to get the ID from the parameter or the URL itself. So let me come over here. So it's going to be I will show you a demo, okay, just an example. It's going to be slash del and let the ID be 1, okay. So this 1 is being passed as a parameter, okay, and we will cache that parameter and we will delete that particular data having ID 1, okay. I hope that made sense, and this is fine with the path. Just put a comma. It's going to be function, same thing, request comma response. Just come out of this and open curly bracket, okay. So as I told you earlier, the first thing what we need to do is we need to get a hold of this ID, cache this ID, okay. So for that, just come to the next line. So it's going to be let, I will put it as delete ID, okay, delete ID equal to request dot params, okay, it's dot ID, okay. So the reason why I'm putting params is that I am getting the ID from the URL as a parameter, okay. So in case if you are getting the data from the body means like this one, okay, in that case you will be using request.body, but here I am using parameter, so I'll be going with request.params.id. And the next one is going to be our main function, okay. So here I will be using the find one and delete function. So for that, first we need to have our model name, okay. So in this case my model name is mon model, okay, just a mongoose model that we have like defined after defining our schema. So it's going to be mon model. Let me just copy this mon model, okay, come down, and so it's going to be mon model dot find one and delete, okay. It's not find one by ID, it's find one and delete, okay, and just open bracket. So it has also like two parameters, one ID and another is a callback function. So first thing is the ID, okay. So just open another circular bracket. To be like really careful over here. So for passing the ID, just put curly bracket ID colon my ID that is I'm receiving from the parameter, which is del ID, okay, del ID. So this ID name corresponds to the ID that I have passed or created in my database. So if you have some name or email, okay, you need to put name and email over here. It's not this, I'm repeating again, this, it's not this auto generated ID, okay. So after getting the ID over here, you need to just inside this delete function, just put a comma. Same thing, it's going to be function, and you need to pass two arguments over here, okay. One is error, another one is let me just put docs, okay, docs or data something, it's absolutely your choice, and come out of it, just put a curly bracket. Okay, so first let me explain this, what is this error, okay. So this function basically just catches in case of like any error in sending the data to the database, and this docs or data, you can name it data as well, contains the entire data which is getting deleted. So let's suppose say that we are passing ID 3, okay. So this docs will basically have this JSON, okay, this entire data in JSON. It will just return it for our further use or reference, okay. That's what this doc is going to return. So first let me just go over here, okay. I will do response dot send, okay. This response dot send means that I will be sending any data or information to the Postman console. So it will be appearing over here, okay, in this place of this posted, okay. So I will just do docs, okay. That's it. I guess we are now good to go, but there are still more like if else conditions to be also applied. I'll just do it within 5 minutes, okay. First let us just check it, okay, whether it's working or not. So just save it now and just come over here. It's node main.js, on port 3000. So now if I just go to my Postman, and let's suppose that I'm going to delete this particular data with ID 3. Okay, so it has like a name as D and email as d@d.com, some random text over there. So I'll just go over here. So the path should be del, okay, del slash the ID. So this path corresponds to this one. I am using del over here, and the ID that we are considering is 3. And another important thing, no need of these things. Okay, you can just go to none, and you need to change this to delete. Okay, really important. If you just have some other option like get post, it won't even work. Really important thing, like it can't be even identified this error. Okay, so just change it to delete and just send it. So as you can see here, this is the data. Okay, this is the particular JSON that we're deleting with the help of the ID 3. Okay, and now if you can go to the MongoDB database, we will be having this particular data. But if we just refresh it, boom, that particular data with ID 3 has vanished. It has been removed from our database. So this works well and good, but there is a problem over here. Okay, so what if I again go here and again I send 3 this itself? Okay, because ID 3 has been, we have just now deleted ID 3. Okay, but what if I do this, try to do this again? So if we just send it now, I'll be getting nothing. Okay, null as a response, because this particular ID it isn't present in our MongoDB database. So we need to also have a condition for that. So let's just go here. So the reason why nothing has been written is because our docs, this docs thing is null. Okay, so let us have like this: if docs equal to null, and just go here and have a else block. Okay, else block, and just come down. Okay, and we will be just putting response dot send wrong ID, or you can also put ID. ID isn't present in the MongoDB database. Okay, it's up to you. So let me just now save it, and we have to restart the server. Yeah, it's fine running now. So again I will just go to the Postman, and again I will send the same ID. Okay, I'm sending it now. So as you can see here, I'm getting wrong ID. The reason is obvious, that particular ID and its data it isn't present in our MongoDB database. And another important thing, you need to also make use of this error. Okay, error is unused. Okay, so it's really important to do error handling as well. So for that, it's really simple. If you need to just pass error inside it, and you can just send something, response dot send. Also send the error directly itself. I will just put some text. Okay, error like that, and in the else block, just open curly bracket, and you will be just enclose the entire if else. Okay, just cut it and paste it inside it. Okay, so this is pretty much obvious, because if there is any error, we aren't going to get any docs or any data over here. So it's better to have it inside the else block. So I think now we are good to go. So let me just save it now. I will just stop it and rerun it again. So it's on port 3000 now. So now let's just do for all cases. Okay, so let me do put for 10, it has name as J. So if we just go to Postman and just change the ID as 10, we just send it, I'll be getting the data over here. And if I just now go to MongoDB and refresh it, I'll be getting the ID removed. So ID 1, 2, 11 and 22, 10 is in there. And let's suppose either I will put some other irrelevant ID. Let me put something over here like this much big number, and if I just send it, I'll be getting wrong ID over there. And let's suppose say for error, okay, for error I think we need to pass some alphabet, okay, instead of a number. This ID, okay, this ID that we are passing is of type number. I guess I have defined it as a number in my schema. Okay, so I will pass it as some character or an alphabet. So I will just go to Postman, and if I just send it now, I'll be getting error. Okay, and let's suppose say the final thing is that if you don't want to send this, the data itself, after deleting that particular ID or the data, you don't want to send the entire data to the, like as a response means, you can just remove this, and you can just have a message as deleted. That's absolutely your choice. Okay, I will do this as a final thing. Okay, just stopping it and rerunning it again, and this time we will delete ID 2. Okay, just put 2 over here and send it. I'll be getting deleted this time instead of the data. So this is delete, okay? And I hope you would have found this video useful. I've also done many other programming videos in C, C++, Java, Python, SQL queries, as well as 3D animation using Blender. So that's it for this video, and thanks for watching.